Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namashpritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Nama Pankajanabhaya Nama Pankajamadine Nama Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangre Krishna. So we're reading today from Canto 3, the status quo, chapter 11, calculation of time from the atom. And we're going to be reading texts 15 and 16 today. Okay, so we'll get started with text 15. Yasritya shaktim urudhujvaya vasayan svashaktya pumsho bhramaya dividavati bhutabheda kalakhyaya gunamayam kratubhirvitam vams tasmai balim harata vatsara panchakaya. Word for word, yaha, one who, Shrija, of creation, Shaktim, the seeds, Urudha, in various ways, Uch Vasayan, invigorating, Swashaktya, by his own energy, Pumsha, of the living entity, Abhramaya, to dissipate darkness, Divi, during the daytime, Dhavati, moves, Bhutabheda, distinct from all other material form, Kala Akhyaya, by the name eternal time. Gunamayam, the material results. Kratubihi, by offerings. Vitanvan, enlarging. Tasmai, unto him. Balim, ingredients of offerings. Harata, one should offer. Vatsara Panchakaya, offerings every 5 years. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. O Vidura, the sun enlivens all living entities with his unlimited heat and light. He diminishes the duration of life of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of material attachment. And he enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom. He thus moves in the firmament with great velocity, and therefore everyone should offer him respects once every 5 years with all ingredients of worship. We'll go on, read the next verse as well, and then come back. Text 16. Vidura vacha pitrideva manushyanam ahu param idam smritam paresham gatim achakshva yesyu kalpad bahirvida. Okay, word for word. Vidura vacha, Vidura said, Pitra, the Pitra planets, Deva, the heavenly planets, Manushyanam, and that of the human beings, Ayu, duration of life, Param, final, Idam, in their own measurement, Smritam, calculated, Paresham, of the superior living entities, Gatim, duration of life, Achakshva, kindly calculate, Ye, all those who Shiv are Kalpat from the millennium, Bahi outside, Vida greatly learned. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Vidura said, I now understand the life durations of the residents of the Pita planets and heavenly planets as well as those of the human beings. Now kindly inform me of the durations of life of those greatly learned living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa. Purport. The partial dissolution of the universe that takes place at the end of Brahma's day does not affect all the planetary systems. The planets of highly learned living entities like the sages Sanaka and Bhrigu are not affected by the dissolutions of the millenniums. All the planets are of different types, and each is controlled by a different Kala Chakra, or schedule of eternal time. The time of the Earth planet is not applicable to other, more elevated planets. Therefore, Vidura herein inquires about the duration of life on other planets. So, pretty amazing stuff. We will start with the prayers, the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalputarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. So, welcome, dear devotees, to this morning's Bhagavatam discussion. I am completely unqualified to be talking about this topic, this very complex topic. And somehow with year-end activities at work and other services, I've been kind of very strapped for time. So I haven't really had a lot of time to prepare. So it will be a short discussion, I think. But anyway, I wanted to take the opportunity of, on this very auspicious Mokshada Ekadashi Gita Jayanti. Happy Gita Jayanti to all of you, by the way. So for my purification, I'm going to be reading a little bit. And before I start, I seek the blessings of my Guru Maharaj and all of you wonderful devotees. I may speak something of a little bit of value. So verse 15, the translation again goes that, O Vidura, the sun enlivens all living entities with its unlimited heat and light. He diminishes the duration of life of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of material attachment. And he enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly kingdom. He thus moves in the firmament with great velocity, and therefore everyone should offer him respects once every 5 years with all ingredients of worship. So, in thinking about it, we know that the universe is also described to be like a coconut, right, with a thick, hard shell. And if one were to, somehow make a very tiny hole in the coconut and look inside, it would be completely dark, right? So the universe, this material universe, with all its planets and millions and billions of living entities, is kind of like that. It would be a complete darkness if it weren't for the sun, right? Um, the Bhagavatam says that on each and every planet, the trees and plants grow and change colors due to the sunshine. And that's why this verse is saying that the sun enlivens all living entities with his unlimited heat and light. So scientists have, tried to quantify, like, how much energy, how much power does, comes from the sun. And of course, I can't imagine how successful they've been, but I found in a few places that it says that the sun's energy that it gives out is 44 quadrillion watts. Now, to put that in some perspective, one large electric power plant, okay, apparently produces about 1 billion watts of power. So what this means is that it would take 44 million such plants, to give out the energy that the sun is giving. Now, again, I don't know how correct that is, or are they really even able to measure, how much power or how much energy the sun gives out? I mean, it's possible that this relates to how much the Earth receives from the sun, because obviously the sun powers the entire universe, many, many planets, all of which revolve around the sun, are actually powered by the sun. All the heat and light, comes from the sun. So from the Bhagavatam, what we know, so that's, the scientists' take. From the Bhagavatam, what we know is that the sun moves with great velocity. And how does that happen? We know of the chariot, the sun's chariot driven by 7 horses, where Arun is his charioteer. The sun god is continuously rotating around in this universe and with high speed. I mean, although when we see the sun, it looks like, it's moving fairly slowly, throughout the day, right? It, goes from east to west. But actually, the sun is moving in great velocity and continuously with no break, right? I mean, if you think about that, that sounds like a lot of work. But the sun is said to be the king of all planets. And while moving in his own orbit, he has this specific orbit for him, his samvatsara, like we heard about in yesterday's verse. One wonders, what is the sun doing, right? Imagine rotating around. So again, what we learn from the Bhagavatam is that the sun god himself is reciting the Vedas. And as he is moving in that high speed, there are thousands of rishis sitting right in front of him, sitting and moving with him, I guess, facing him. Okay. And they are learning the Vedas from the sun as he is reciting them. Yeah. And it's pretty amazing and mind-boggling. And so if the sun was to shift even a little bit from its path, there would be either fires of destruction, everything would light up with fire, or there would be super freezing conditions. Right? So again, I don't know how much of this is really, has been figured out by the scientists. The closest probably that, that we learn about and is the, the motion between the north and southern hemisphere, and that too, is understood to be because of the Earth's axis and whatnot. And I think today is the winter solstice. So anyway, that motion triggers the summer solstice and winter solstice, etc. Now, the one thing that scientists have figured out is that the sun goes through the process of evaporation and condensation. And it basically, we have huge expanses of ocean, right, with saline water. And it is with the sun's power that all of this, these water bodies, the water is actually evaporated, formed into clouds, and comes down to us as rain, as which is usable. But when the saline water is pretty much unusable, but we get our pure water as well through the sun. And all of life is sustained, or because of rain, because of this whole activity of evaporation and condensation by the sun. So, I mean, it does sound like everything and everyone in this universe is completely dependent on the sun, right? Heat, light, life, for everything does seem like we are dependent on the sun. And then, of course, this verse says that he diminishes the duration of life of all living entities in order to release them from their illusion of material attachment. So this duration of life, and how does that happen? There's this verse in Canto 2 which talks exactly about that. Canto 2, chapter 3, verse 17 says, Ayur harati vaipumsham udyan ashtam jayan asau tasyarte yat shano nita uttama shloka vartaya. So both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. So, that's how it happens, right? The rising and setting of the sun is actually an expression of the Kala Chakra. So at birth, we are given a certain lifespan, we have a certain lifespan, right? We have that Ayu. And with every year, especially when we are small, we feel happy that, we are growing up and we can do this, that, and the other. More, sense gratification and acquire more material and whatnot. But actually, our lifespan is diminishing within this material world. And at death, there is forced detachment from all our material attachments, right? And this Kala Chakra, time with Kala gives us that sense of urgency, right? Or at least it's supposed to, right? As it says here, it's about impress the greater importance of utilizing the human form of life to realize our lost relationship with the Supreme Lord by acceleration of devotional service, right? So really, that is the important thing, the time that is being spent, and to be able to utilize that time in understanding our relationship with the Supreme Lord. And as we popularly know, time and tide waits for no man. And of course, I wish I had better realization of that and was able to use my time better. But yeah, so coming back, this great sun, right, which again within this material universe seems to be, the power that sustains everything. Or in a way, right, of everything that that we do, living entities are so dependent. This great sun, Krishna says, rises and sets in time because of fear of Krishna. So the sun, is under the control of Krishna. After all, Krishna is Kala. He is Kalosmi, and the sun and everything is bound by this Kala Chakra. So in yesterday's verse, we read that the Brahma Samhita, confirms this control, right? The control that Govinda, Krishna has. Right? the verse, Chakshureva Savita Sakalagrahanam, Raja Samasta Suramurti Ashesha Teja, Yasya Naya Brahmati Sambrata Kala Chakra, Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Lord Brahma is worshipping Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. So no doubt the sun is so powerful, sustains us, enlarges the path of elevation to the heavenly planets, which of course is an opportunity given to us, provided we take it. So we get so many, countless benefits from the sun, right? And in fact, worshipping the sun is the most pious activity. And this verse says that at least once in 5 years, one should be worshipping the sun. Now, why once in 5 years? There's no explanation. And I looked in a few places, some lectures, but there was no specific explanation about the 5 years part of it. We know that, Gayatri, for example, is, the first verse talks about the sun, and that is done 3 times in the day, right? There are 3 sandhyas, the morning, between evening, between night and morning, the Brahma Muhurta, and then at noon, and then in the evening. So, but yeah, I mean, people, as a pious activity, and kind of in respect and deference to the, in gratitude to the sun is worshipped. And when it talks about it with all the ingredients, the sun actually, most worship of the sun is simply to offer water, right? People stand in the river and offer water to the sun. But for devotees, of course, we know that it is more important to water the root, and we do not really need to worship, each and every demigod. By worshipping Krishna with bhakti, it is equivalent to worshipping, offering our deference and respect to all of the demigods. So a devotee does not really need to worship the sun separately. Of course, we should always be respectful, to the sun and all demigods that provide for us in so many ways. So moving on to verse 16. So verse 16. So far it was, Maitreya was talking about all this, and then now Vidura continues to ask his questions, and Vidura says that, I understand the life durations of the residents of the Pita planets and heavenly planets, as well as that of the human beings. Now, kindly inform me of the duration of life of those greatly learned living entities who are beyond the range of a kalpa. So, Vidura, with all of the verses that have been spoken so far, he says he understands the lifespan of human beings, the pitas, the heavenly planets. Now again, he's asking Maitreya Muni. Maitreya Muni is Trikalya. He has knowledge of the past, present, and future about those that live beyond a kalpa. And what is a kalpa? Past, it is the duration of Brahma's day. So most people, right? Most people aspire for the heavenly planets, right? For heaven. There isn't much knowledge, about planets beyond Swarga, leave alone, people don't even talk about the spiritual world. And so most people don't know that, Swarga is actually dissolved, right? At the end of Brahma's day. So we can probably take a quick look. Okay. So we can take a quick look at Brahma's day and the representation of time. from Brahma's day. I hope you can see this. So this is the life of Brahma, right? And that is, as we know, 311 trillion years. During that time, there are 36,000 kalpas. During a day of Brahma, and an equal number of nights. So each kalpa, so between creation and full devastation, that's what Brahma's life is. Now, each kalpa is the day of Brahma, and that is 4.32 billion years, during which time there are 14 manvantaras and 15 sandhyas, the break between day and night. And that 432 billion years is billion Earth years is the day of Brahma. And at the beginning of his day, he does partial creation. At the end of his day, there is partial devastation. And it is during this partial devastation that the lower planets, as Brahma goes to sleep, the lower planets, Bhuvar and Swarga, which is Patal, Martya, which is, Martya is this earth, and Swarga are submerged in the water of devastation. They're all annihilated. Okay, and living entities during that time, they remain merged in the dissolution. I mean, in the later verses, we will learn more about this. But they remain merged in that dissolution, and it says become silent. Now, the sun and the moon do not light up these planets anymore. However, the more elevated planets, so above these three planets is Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, and then of course Brahma's own planet, which is Satyaloka. These stay intact, and they continue to function. They are lit up by the sun and moon. So even as Brahma is sleeping, I mean, that again is it's kind of mind-boggling. That even as Brahma is sleeping, those higher planets continue to function. The sun still functions for them. And during that time, great personalities, great sages like Bhrigu Muni, the four Kumaras, all of them kind of stay in those upper planets. They actually travel. We know that some of these personalities have the ability the power of interplanetary travel. We know that Bhrigu Muni, in fact, was elected to be the one who determines who's the greatest among Vishnu, Brahma, and Shiva. And to do that, he actually traveled to Vishnu's abode, to Brahma's abode, Shiva's abode. So, they have interplanetary system. So, so during that time, there are these living entities, great personalities who live beyond the kalpa and travel around. Now, the question is, what does Brahma do during this time? Again, in later verses, we will see that apparently Brahma, while asleep, he dreams of the Lord, and gets instructions about recreating those planets that have been dissolved, during his nighttime. So anyway, so this is a question that Vidura asks Maitreya Muni, and Maitreya Muni is going to answer these questions, in the upcoming verses. But the bottom line about the couple of verses that we read and what we have been reading about in this canto is that we should very thoughtfully, try to understand how to best use our time. And that this is mainly for me, because how to use the resources that we have, by way of this human body. I remember once I had shared with my Guru Maharaj, I had asked a question, in one of his lectures, that my quality of my chanting is really poor. I don't know what to do. Maharaj, please advise. And Guru Maharaj was very, very direct to me in his answer. No sugarcoating. He said, "You have limited time left. Whatever age you are at, you have very limited time left. So get serious. Utilize this time wisely. Work on chanting, and doing the services better. So yeah, so that's my prayer for me as well as all of us, especially our children. I mean, often that's what we struggle with all the gadgets and everything that we are so addicted to. That somehow we're all able to get there. With that, thank you very much. I'm sorry if I misspoke anything. I know it's past 8 o'clock and I do have a hard stop, but maybe for a minute if someone wants to add or correct. Thank you very much. Okay, so if not, we will stop for today. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.